Hi everyone and welcome to this week's edition of Catherine Lorimer's Guide to Life podcast. So I'm still squatting at John's, my partner's, in his office. I've taken it over. No, I haven't. But I have for today, obviously. But he's not here, so it's fine. I've got loads of space. So here I am recording the next podcast. This one's going to be about how to build resilience. And I kind of thought to myself before I started recording it, I was like, well, sorry, I've just noticed there's a large turd on the desk. Okay, it's not a real one. It's one of those, it's absolutely disgusting. It really is horrible. It's, one of those, can you hear it? Squidgy things, stress things. It's a stress turd. It's just wrong on so many levels. I'm going to have to hide it out of sight. I'll shove it under there so I can't see it. It's just too... Right, so yeah, how to build resilience. So I thought, right, okay. Supposing someone's listening to this podcast for the first time and this is the first episode they kind of hear and they think, well, why is she qualified to talk about how to build resilience? Okay, so 52, divorced, lived in England, Wales and Scotland, moved down back to England, got another house, renovated several houses. That was when I was married, obviously not since I've been divorced. I've got a pony, a horse. I've survived having an operation on my lung to remove a blood clot, Broad Green Cardiothoracic Hospital. And I've also had a broken fib and tib from a kick from a horse, which is had 3 plates on it and lots of pins. Learned to walk again, learned to run again. I'm entered in for a 3K and I'm kind of walk running, so that's okay. I've run a marathon. I've run a Medoc marathon. That was before I broke my leg. Done lots of half marathons. And I got made redundant and caught COVID during the same week. Survived that without losing the house by getting just the only job I could, which was a domestic at the hospital, which started off my career in the NHS. I've been a senior manager. I've travelled quite a lot, of which I will get round to doing a podcast about travelling. But I kind of basically I've got, I don't know, so my memory works in a weird way. Well, it's not really a weird way, but people either remember things by looking at pictures and so a visual memory, and that's how my memory works. And other people kind of, sort of remember things in a different way, maybe like words and stuff like that. So I actually need to get the pictures out of my trips and go through them all so I can remember them. But at the moment, because the building work going on from my next door neighbour, I'm now, I have to say, very comfortably. Look, John's is great. Washes all my clothes. It's like living in a Chinese laundry. I've got more drawer space as well. We're up to 3 drawers now and half the wardrobe. But I kind of I come back and it's like, I come back from riding and everything's kind of washed and already dried and back in the drawer. I'm like, whoa, I could get used to this. Yeah. But I do put the dishwasher on. So they're kind of, it's not just on and put the hoover around and clean the bathroom. So, it's working. I kind of said to him the other day, I'm completely sidetracking, but I said to him the other day, I said, do you think we see more or less of each other now we're living together? And he's like, yeah, I don't think we see any more of each other. And I'm like, no, neither do I. For example, this morning, I woke up, saw him for about 5 minutes before I went off and rode the horse because it's really hot. He very kindly walked my dog, which he's been doing. The dog, okay, Pippa's chucked me, right? She's no longer my dog. She's officially daddy's girl, right? Because he walks her and feeds her a lot more than I do now. So it's him she cuddles up to on the sofa. So, we're joking, but she's definitely becoming his dog. It's fine. It's okay. So this morning, and then I'm doing my stuff today. I've actually had a day off today, a rare day off. It's a Thursday. I'm recording this on a Thursday, and he's gone off to the office, and they went out doing some shopping and things like that. It's quite nice actually. I was like, yeah, I've got time to go into Chester, and well, not actually into Chester, but to the Chester area and buy some stuff. And I kind of did all that and came back, and I'm going swimming. I'll go swimming after work about 8:00 at night. So I won't see him till 9:00. And that's kind of probably pretty much an average day. But it's great because we've got our own space. Okay, but I suppose the way I'm kind of trying to kind of go about sort of saying this is that sometimes guys kind of particularly a feedback from guys that I've said at my dating podcast, say that women are needy and clingy, okay, and we've got to have them around all the time to help with things and to do this and to do that. And I'm not one of those people, okay? I've never been one of those women. I'm not like most women. I'm really independent and I can go and do my own thing. 7 o'clock this morning, I was at the stables razzing around a field with my new friend Ruth. It was great. We have such good times. The pony honestly got its shot off at one point. I was like, whoa, no, we're not peeing off with me up the field, which is what it tried to do, trying to dodge sheep. But we're having a great time. Anyway, so that's kind of like what qualifies. I'm also an equestrian, okay, as you might have guessed if you hadn't heard this podcast before. And if you're an equestrian, you've got to be pretty tough and you've got to be kind of like quite a resilient person, because dealing with horses is not straightforward. It's a way of life. There are so many things that can go wrong with them. We're constantly battling what they call laminitis, which is the equine equivalent of diabetes, and EMS, which is a bit like metabolic syndrome in people. We're constantly battling that, which means that this is why we have to get up at sort of 6 o'clock in the mornings, which John is just loving, by the way. What time's the alarm set for? Before we used to be up at 7, half 7. 6 o'clock. Oh, he's like, right, okay. Especially if he goes on his going to concerts and he's not into like, I don't know, 12:30. And I'm like, right, the alarm set for 6:30. I've given you half an hour lie in. Isn't that nice? That was this morning. No, so it's all fine. It's all good. He doesn't mind, honestly. But there's, when you live together, that you have to compromise, don't you? And like we have to get up, and I have to do all these things before work just to get stuff done. So kind of that's kind of a bit of a background. But yeah, for equestrians, it's we have to. If we're battling this, thinking about. I don't even think about it actually. But so my day went something like this. So my morning with the stables went something like this. So I got there, quickly skipped out because somebody else is putting him out for me in the afternoons a bit later on because it's just too hot at the moment. Got there, quickly skipped him out. That means tidied the stable up, got all the poo out and stuff like that. Took his hay net out the hay soaker, which is a physical manual task. And then quickly brushed him down, covered him in fly spray, put various bits of ointment, like he's got an itchy face, a couple of itchy face bits and a slight cut. So that has a different type of cream, 2 different types of cream there. Pick his feet out and then tack him up. Hopefully he doesn't escape from the stable, which he has done a couple of times. We've got like a thing across the stable. I did a classic yesterday. And he's done it before. And I did say, someone said, oh, you can put something across the stable. I said, it'll be under that. He's done it before. But then friend Ruth said, look, I've got the old one that was up there before. Do you want to just put that back in? I was like, well, yeah, okay then. So I'll put that back in. And I was like, but he will be under there. That's okay. I just won't leave him unsupervised. Okay, right. So putting fly spray on the back of his leg, all of a sudden, shoom, straight under. I was chasing down the stable block, grabbing him by the mane, going, trying to manhandle this 600, well, it's probably about 550 fell pony, 550 kilogram fell pony back into his stable without a head collar on. Anyway, he did the same yesterday. I was untacking him, taking the saddle off. Fortunately, I didn't take the bridle off first, okay? So I was untacking him, taking the saddle off. Literally, I went round the back just to flip the girth over, and all of a sudden, shum, straight underneath again. I had enough time to grab the saddle because the rope thing took the saddle off. It's like a comedy of errors, and anyway, he strolled off up the stable block to check which other horses were in, which was just quite funny. Unfortunately, he had his bridle on, so I just quickly captured him quite quickly. But we did have a situation on the ride. So we talked about resilience. So on the ride yesterday, Guy didn't see us there. He's a guy, and he was mortified actually. He just parked his car up, opened the boot, and let all 4 Springer Spaniels or various fluffy Springer Spaniel type things run off in our direction. So like a pack of dogs. And a lot of horses would have reacted to this, but he just sort of stood there and went, oh, right, yeah, there's 4 dogs coming towards us. They don't really look that dangerous. I'm sure it'll be fine. And he was like, oh, no, I'm really, really sorry. And I was like, well, it's all right. Don't worry about it, because if we're out hacking, this situation could happen for real. And now I know in my mind that actually he can cope with that. He's not that bothered. So as what can happen if you're on a horse is you can think, oh my God, there's loads of dogs coming towards us. And you tense up and the horse goes, oh, she's tensing up. That means there's a major problem. Oh, right, got to run, because they're flight animals. Whereas if you say to remain calm, they're like, oh, right, okay, well, there's a load of dogs running towards us, but she doesn't seem that bothered about it because she's quite relaxed. So I'll be relaxed as well. And that's pretty much the thinking about, horses. And so there's loads of things with horses that you have to do. And I think, so you do have to be pretty resilient if you're in equestrian. There are lots of challenging situations that you do regularly find yourself in. And it's also avoiding things happening as well. So, for example, if we're hacking along the road, we're constantly looking for potential sort of spooky episodes. So, for wheelie bin days, bin day is always a great one, because that bin wasn't there yesterday. And it might just be horse eating. Yeah, that happens quite a lot. So that's my qualifications as to why I'm qualified to talk about resilience. Because I think we're all noticing, aren't we, teenagers today, they've all grown up with their phones glued to them. And I remember my parents, when I was younger, they would, me and a couple of friends would be chucked into the car and sent off to Delamere Forest with Dad reading a map. Inevitably, he went wrong and we ended up doing about 5 miles instead of 2, and we were absolutely knackered, which is why I've got a great sense of direction, because in the end I'd be like, no, that's the wrong way. It's this way, because I'd learned, right? And we pitched a tent in the garden, but I don't know if kids still do things like that. Resilience is great, but there's a lot more just to kind of how do we go about building resilience? For a starting thing is I'm really good at problem solving. It's something that I think because I worked in production, you had to solve problems regularly. So, and also if you're constantly like assessing risk and what could go potentially wrong with the production, you're kind of always thinking one step ahead. So I don't really dwell too much for waiting for a problem to disappear. Some people can't handle problems, can they? They've got like problems, like for example, the sink clogged in the spare room, and I've been doing this for ages. And because I'm living here now, I'm like, I can't live with that. It's doing my head in. It's a problem. It's annoying. Just I'm trying to get to sleep. So went off, got some soda crystals, okay, which essentially, if you're buying any of these products that claim to kind of like clear all the stuff out your sink, it's just soda crystals. So just go and get some soda crystals. It's much cheaper. Shoved a load of soda crystals down there. You leave it for a little bit, run a little bit of water, leave it for a bit, boil a kettle, and then chuck the boiling kettle down and flush them all down, and it cleans it all out, and it has stopped the glugging problem. But people don't always know how to kind of manage these little things themselves. And you just have to kind of like manage the problems. I think maybe I don't know, I think I just deal with it. And sometimes I forget that other people aren't like me. They don't just deal with things as and when they happen. And I'm trying to think of another example, but I probably won't be able to off the top of my head. So you take action, okay? Don't just sit there and go and think about it. A lot of people procrastinate, don't they? Okay. So there's we've all been guilty of doing it. So I still need to put the wallpaper up at my house. Okay. That is on my list of things to do, but now I can kind of move again. I'm no longer in any pain. I can't tell you it's great. This injection is absolutely fantastic. I've not had any pain. I can't remember. I'll say on but I've had to move the pony to a new yard because I was doing too much physical work, poo picking and water. It wasn't working, and I did actually injure myself quite badly. And I thought, oh no. And John was really upset because he's like, you've worked so hard just to get through this. If you've really injured yourself again, he was really upset about it. Also, plus I think me driving everywhere, all over the place. I think it was, he was stressing him out a little bit, he's a bit worried about me. So now he's quite happy because the pony's like 7 minutes drive up the road. I'm not carrying as much. In fact, I don't really have to carry anything. I can actually drag the water bucket from the water tap, a short distance into a stable. The hay nets he's eating at the moment are quite light because it's summer. It doesn't need that much hay. So, and then I've still got I've got the hay cube for putting hay in for the winter time. And I'm guessing this is like me probably giving an example of how I'm solving the problems with my back and how I manage it all. So I've got because it's a physical task. If you've got your ponies anyway, they harrow the fields. They just rotate them quite quickly, quite easily. Then they harrow them and then leave them to grow back. And because that puts, although there's different advice on harrowing fields. People say you should poo pick and take all the poo off so that they don't get worms. But then if you harrow them, you're harrowing all the minerals that they've eaten going back into the ground, which is actually better for the ground. So it's it's a mixed one for that. I've always harrowed and never really had any issues. So I'm quite happy that that's what they do at this particular yard, because we don't want to poo pick anymore. It's not good for people's backs. And that is one of the things I think is it's actually one of the things about how to build resilience is take care of your body. But it's not just like physical, it's also emotional. So stress is a big thing. And I've had some really stressful jobs in my time. Now I kind of don't really give a stuff, although I probably should do, because I'm probably in a more senior role than I actually have been before. And this week it was like I got these 2 things sent to me for review, and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually quite important in this job, aren't I? Really, you're giving, you've got to give feedback on a colleague, and and then you're also commenting on this paper, and I was thinking, whoa, and I think that kind of so actually, but it should be. So I probably should be a bit stressed about it, but I'm not. And I think personally it's because I work from home. So there's no aggro, okay? I only argue with myself or the dogs, right? There's no office politics apart from if I'm working in the garden room, which chair does Flash sit on and which chair does Pippa sit on. Because traditionally, Pippa sits next to me on the sofa and Flash sits in the armchair. But sometimes if Pippa gets off the sofa, Flash will come and sit in next to me on the sofa, and then she gets a right face on if she has to squidge into the armchair. That's my office politics, okay? I think I'm pretty lucky. Pretty lucky. I don't really have an awful lot to worry about. I don't like people will be stressing about this building work that's going on at their house, and I haven't been able to park my car up there because I've had a skip, and it's the whole thing has meant that I've had to that I've had to move the pony again. I suppose that is quite a big thing, and a lot of people would probably make a bit of a drama about that, wouldn't they? Sitting back and thinking about it, but I just get on with it. I've just sorted it out, and it's like, well, and actually, it's worked out much better for me. So sometimes people procrastinate, and they're really afraid of change, but actually, change is good, and sometimes it's better for you, and you have a better outcome. Like say my new friend Ruth, she's like, right, okay, we need to go and do this, and we'll go and do that. And I was like, right, we're going to do this, and we're going to that. We're going to that farm ride and this farm ride, and I've already been back to ride with my friend Bev at the other farm ride, and I'm like, right, I'll come ride back with you in a couple of weeks. And well, actually, I rode out with Georgina, her 18-year-old, which was great because we had a great conversation about life, really, and she likes having the adult conversations with me as we go round. When we discuss things. So, do you know what? I'm so flattered that an 18-year-old wants to hack out with me at 52. That's I think that says it all, really, doesn't it? So when people are saying to me, oh, you'll like this in a minute. People then say to me, who listens to your podcast? Well, the whole kind of like range in society can listen to it. So take care of your body, okay? And also focus on strong social connections, because actually, you've got a support network. You have to have that, and you've got friends, and sometimes they're new friends, sometimes they're old friends, and sometimes they're family. Because at the end of the day, you can't choose your family, but as much as sometimes my narcissistic and slightly strange, eccentric parents do annoy me, they're the people that were there with me when I got divorced, although mother wasn't particularly emotional about the whole thing. I don't know I think I've told you this story before, I can't remember, but, I kind of came back with all my stuff, and it wasn't like, oh, did it go okay? How are you feeling? You upset? Do you need a hug? It was, where are you going to put all that stuff? Yeah, that's the right way I'm sort of like the, I can't even think of the words, but that's my mother. That's what she's like. But they were there and they were helping me out, and they're pretty good, to be fair. I'm always having parcels delivered to their house. You got a parcel delivered? There's 4 parcels in the hall now for you to collect. That was the latest text. Thanks, mother. Your golf trolley's arrived. Okay, yeah. So that's the other thing as well. Carrying golf clubs is quite heavy. So I've been playing quite a lot of golf. I'm playing probably certainly once or twice a week, and maybe a driving range. And the lessons usually every week, but there's been a few things where we can't have them and it's not worked out. So, but that's absolutely fine. And I will go back. And there's one particular instructor that is absolutely fantastically amazing. He's actually the brother of my best friend, and I said to him, right, I said, don't worry. I said, I know I haven't seen you for a bit, but when it gets a bit cooler, I want to come back and have, like, even if I have one focus lesson with him once a month, even if that's all I can afford, then I'll do that, because he's so good and he can, correct things that I'm doing wrong. Because if you want to grow, you have to learn how to grow, don't you? And that's kind of like with any sort of sport, really. But strong connections. My parents have been there for me, when I needed them to. And then say take care of your body. Say stress, physical, and this is why you need like exercise. And I kind of like, sometimes I think, oh no, I'm not quite back where I used to be. I still haven't really got my sense of humour back on. I don't smile all the time. And then I was thinking to myself, well, I probably didn't smile all the time when I was younger, but I kind of forced myself to smile. And I know I felt a bit happier. So I was trying that. I was doing this on the way back from my shopping trip. I was like, right, smile, or I'm a smile. Does that help? And just try and do things to make yourself feel good, and the regular exercise and the razzing round and the looking after Merlin again properly. I feel like I've really connected with him again, although I think Pippa's probably doesn't really agree with that. Although she is in here, zonked out on the floor while I'm recording the podcast. Again, make sure you get enough sleep. Okay, and make sure you keep hydrated, especially this time of the year when it is seriously hot. It's like 30 odd degrees down here, which is ridiculous. We're just not used to it. Practice mindfulness and like meditation or yoga. So we're doing Pilates. I'm doing Pilates once a week now. So I think that kind of ticks that box. But also golf for me is a form of mindfulness. Okay, I'm just really relaxed, stroll out onto the golf course. I don't get stressed by it all. I know sometimes, people can get annoyed because they're not playing very well, but actually I just take it as you can hit the ball, sort of. What was the last one? Here we are. So the last one, has he got the first golf score here? Right. He's got all the golf scores, hasn't he? He's got them on the desk. No, that's not mine. That's someone called Ed. I don't know who that is. I'll put that back. So let me have a quick look. That's not mine either. Oh, so first time we played, 1st of June, okay? Right, so 1st of June, and I got, okay, that's not my worst score, right? So same place, so 7th of June, okay? This was the worst score, 68. It was pretty shocking, to be fair. Pretty awful. And then I got 60 and 68. That was a different place. So last one, 6th of July. So I've only been playing for about a month, 57. So that's pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. That's the best score I've got yet. So that's really good. So I'm making progress. But yeah, as I see golf as a form of mindfulness. I don't really have time to meditate, if I'm honest. Meditate with a glass of Peroni. Oh, they serve Peroni in the beer, the pub up the road. So I've been doing do you know what? I haven't been doing as many walks as I want to. And I was saying this to my friend Ruth. Usually what would happen is I'd walk the dog, okay, and then I'd come and ride. But because it's just so hot, we're just having to do it the other way around. And I can't run either because keeping the pony fit is actually the most important thing. And I am missing Jane because she did used to really help keep the pony fit. So I'm having to do it all myself. And then also Georgia was helping me do that as well. So I am having to do it all myself. But I really enjoy it. I'm loving it. And I'm loving the fact that I can ride and I'm not in any pain. Here we are. So it says here, cultivate a sense of purpose, so keep yourself motivated, setting achievable personal goals, focusing on hobbies you enjoy. So, I've kind of like, I'm developing, I'm like, right, so that's why going back to the golf and the bag. So I've been looking this bag around, and when I did the last round, I was like to John, I said, do you know what? Because I did Pilates first, and I came out going, yeah. That kind of Mr. Stretch man. I should start doing these like so you can see me. They might have to tidy up the office first because you can't see me flinging my arms around. What was that, Mr. Stretch? I'm sure is that a thing? Is Mr. Stretch a thing? I'm sure it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? That kind of long, bendy, beanie, Mr. Stretch. Let's just check, shall we? Mr. Stretch. Mr. Stretch. Yeah, stretch arms. Yeah, I'm still not really sure that's what I'm thinking of. But anyway, so I've invented a new Mr. N character, Mr. Stretch. I'm sure it is a thing. But anyway, so, I felt, really kind of like, Mr. Stretch, wobble, wobble, wobble. And then after sort of 2 hours of lugging this bag around, I was like, my back hurts. And it was really sore. So I was like, right, I'm ordering a golf court. And whereas other people, and I remember I went out with a guy once who owned his own blind company. And we went off to buy, he was looking at televisions. I mean, televisions, it's a round object. It's a, what is it? Rectangular object. That's the word I'm looking for. Rectangular object that goes on the wall and you turn it on and watch TV, right? That's all you really need to know. I know it's got like pictures. You walk around the shop and you go, yeah, I quite like that one. But it's not in my budget, but that one is, and that's okay. And that's how you buy your TV, isn't it? No, not this guy. We ended up trawling around so many shops. And at that point I went, this is never going to work. Never going to work. This guy is going to drive me absolutely crazy. So not one to mess about. I sat down and went, right, okay, I'm not doing that again. I need a golf trolley. I need a lighter golf bag and a golf trolley. Doof, doof, doof on Amazon, bish, bash, bosh. There we go. It's done. Golf trolley ordered. It's already arrived. I've built it today. And the bag is obviously, it's pink, white and black. It looks great. And John had actually found a pink and white ball which matches the bag. I won't actually play with that ball because I might lose it, but it's great. It's fantastic. So loving my trolley, and I was like pushing it around the living room going, yeah, this feels great. Fantastic. Yeah. Because I'm like, I don't want to, again, do anything to injure my back. And I think that's the thing. So when I've decided I'll just go out and do it and get what you need to get and just stop yourself being injured. I think I've got to that stage. I kind of fully appreciate that, actually. It's really easy to get yourself injured. Let's have a look at 5 signs of poor resilience. Okay, if you get irritable or overreact, easily frustrated, have outbursts, but then everyone can do that. I mean, I had a bit of a rant yesterday because the dogs were barking at something, and I was like, "Oh, for God's sake, will you shut up?" I think I've just said the G word. I shouldn't have said that really, but never mind. We'll just gloss over that quite quickly. I was like, stop barking. Seriously annoying. Right, so also dwelling on problems, okay, getting stuck in a loop or negative self-taught and ruminating in the past mistakes rather than seeking solutions to them. Chronic physical symptoms, experience frequency illness, tension, headaches, constant tiredness, and that's, if you feel stressed, you can feel like that. And social withdrawal, isolating yourself from your family and friends, and sleep and diet disruption. If you're struggling with insomnia, waking up frequently, developing unhealthy eating habits, So there's kind of like, so what are the 7 C's to build resilience? Well, this is someone by paediatrician Dr. Kenneth Ginsberg. Hopefully that's how you pronounce his name. And so the 7 C's are competence, confidence, connection, character, contribution, coping, and control. So competence is like the ability to handle situations effectively. And that involves, sort of real world skills. So, for example, today, this week, the teenager's gone to the caravan. He got a text saying, the fridge feeder isn't working. So he's like, right, okay, doof. And he's just sorted it out. And I was like, well, to be honest with you, this is quite a good experience, I said, because she's going to have things like this to deal with in real life. So she'll have to be a bit resilient and think outside the box, cope with the fact that she might have to eat an entire tub of ice cream because it's not going to be frozen, Confidence, true belief in your own abilities, which stems from demonstrating genuine competence rather than receiving lavish, hollow praise. You're right. So it's actually when you feel that you've kind of done something. Connection is developing close ties to family, friends and community and having a support network. Because it is really, really important that, you do have those sort of friends around you. Character, and possessing a fundamental sense of right and wrong, and a caring attitude towards others with strong core values. Contribution, realising the world is a better place because you are in it. you know, and say serving others it gives a deep sense of purpose. If you're there to help other people, you know, you always feel better about yourself, don't you? Coping, having a wide array of adaptive strategies to deal with stress, pressure, and the normal struggles of life. And a lot of people can't cope, but no. So for me, like doing long walks, doing all my running, you know, horses, they're all good ways of kind of like learning to cope with things. Like, you know, you very rarely see a equestrian, you know, who kind of like isn't resilient, because you have to be, you know, we have to be kind of like I've had horses with 3 different types of cancers, for example, you know, and you get the vet out and you get them treated, but you're the person that's having to kind of manage the stable situation. You know, you're essentially managing a hospital ward, aren't you, to make sure your patient doesn't get, you know, further injured or makes a speedy recovery. So you're having to like clean it. And like, for example, I had a horse that had a big neck lump. So we had that removed. And I thought, how am I going to stop it scratching on the kind of stable, you know, doorway? So we had a pair of old curtains. So I stapled them to the door, and it was shiny material. So when he scratched, as I knew he would do, because you know, he got stitches and it gets itchy, it didn't do anything. It just slid up and down the material. And eventually I took them down when it was all sorted out. But that's kind of thinking outside the box, isn't it? And control and understanding of decisions and actions that matter. So see, there's quite a lot, you know, for building resilience, and you know, it is really, really important, because you do need to be resilient to get through everyday life, because you know, life is a roller coaster and things will get thrown at you, you know, and you know, it's all very well sort of looking at Instagram and some kind of like, you know, beautiful person tottering round in whatever. But you have to ask yourself, is that person resilient? Are they a good role model, you know, for society? You know, prancing around in a bikini, yeah, sure, they look good, but, you know, what can they actually do? How can they help you? Do you know, or what they telling you, what they influencing you, is that going to help you get through life? And, you know, it probably isn't at the end of the day. I mean, everyone can put a bikini on, can't they? And, you know, get a tan and lie on a sunbed, but like, say my friend Katie, she's quite good at changing car tyres. And she got flat, she's like, right, got everything out, changed car tyre. And I was like, well, there's, you know, how many other women can do that? I probably could. I'm not sure I'm strong enough now, if I'm honest. But it's things like, I went to the pet shop before, and I was carrying 2 bags of various treats and stuff, and a massive 12-kilogram sack of dog food. And the woman was like, oh, do you want me to help with that to the car? And I was like, no, it's all right. I can take it myself. Thank you very much. Even though I've got a bit of a dodgy back. But I thought, I'm capable. I can do it, because, you know, I can manage it. Anyway, hopefully that's given you a bit of insight. It's insight to kind of like about being an equestrian, really. And as I say, horses do teach you, I mean, resilience, massively so. You know, when you're kind of like doing things like, you go and get the horse in and there's like 2 horses that follow you. A lot of people would probably panic in that situation, you know, but you have to kind of be like, back, just pull your pony round, you know. So I think I forget, you know, sometimes I'm kind of like stood there waving some kind of rope gateway to the gateway, because you've got like a little corral bit where you can take them out and feed them, and waving the, you know, the rope to the corral at these 2 horses. One of them's who is a baby, so they're a bit unpredictable babies, trying to stop them coming through while I'm turning my 550-kilogram pony round to Shushaw so I can get it through. But you just do these things, and I probably don't really think about it, but there's probably a lot of other people going on. You know, they wouldn't even know how to cope in that situation, really, would they? And I think so. It's one funny story. I'll just end on this. I will tell you about something. So I've been having a go at rehearsing some stand-up stuff, and you know, I might practice on you guys. I'll go and get it. I'll go and get it in a minute. So it'll be a bit longer, this podcast, than normal. But yeah, so obviously I've met loads of different people at the yard. There's about 20 horses there, so you can't really remember anybody. Anyway, John and I kind of walking the dog, and all of a sudden this guy walks up to us, goes, hi, and then starts going, right, okay, I'll have a look for the electric energizer. I might have a battery. We had, we had one in the lorry at one point, and I'm just going, right, okay, who's this guy? Okay. I'm assuming he's from the yard. And I was like, right. So I'm like, right. So, and he's like, oh, sorry, we haven't met, have we? But because I just put a message on the WhatsApp yard field group saying, right, blah, 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 it just automatically replied to me, which was just hilarious. And then we went and brought the ponies in together, and he's like, oh, I have to go and do this. And the wife's, it doesn't even ride. He's like lumbered with bringing the horse in. And he's like, if they see these rugs, how many straps have they got? I was like, they need them to stop the flies getting in. It's why it's called a fly rug. It was just quite funny. Anyway, I'm going to pause it. I'm going to go and get my stand-up. Hang on. Yeah, I'm thinking about having to go at stand-up, to doing some stand-up comedy, just to promote my podcast. It'd be quite good. And I thought, I'm sure I can do that. I used to be really, really funny. And you need, like, there's a few places in Liverpool that do it. I haven't told John yet. I'm just telling you guys first. And so I thought, right, and it says, right, you need like 5 minutes of stand-up, okay? And it needs to be really sort of prepared. So I've been kind of like, I wrote it, I've typed it all out. Some bits don't quite work properly. But I've kind of been rehearsing it in my head on the way to work. Right, so here we go. Here's my stand-up. So I did need some feedback on this, though, guys, right? So send me a message, PM me, private message. I know a few of you, and some of you will laugh at. I just remembered about putting it, so some of you will laugh at this. But anyway, here we go. I have improved it, but I didn't write the bits that I'd improved down. So whether or not I remember them when I go along, but anyway, we'll give it a go. Right, so let's do the introduction, shall we? Hang on, where's the applause? Right, so I'll be the compere, right? Thank you very much for stand-up comedy night, and now we're welcoming new talent onto these stages. Catherine Lorimer. Put your hands together for Catherine Lorimer. Hi everyone, thanks very much. Hope you're all having a good night. My name is Catherine Lorimer, and I'm actually a podcaster, okay? I have a guide to live podcast, and I usually improvise it. So I thought, do you know what? Why don't you give stand-up comedy a go? Now, the reason that I mainly improvise is because my podcast goes out at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and I usually get to kind of like Thursday afternoon and go, I need to record a podcast. I scrabble around for ideas of what to do on one, and I press record and chat about the topic for about 10 minutes, and then start discussing personal life and relationships and tell humorous stories, basically about, sort of like what my partner and I do. Fortunately, he doesn't actually listen to my podcast, although he is at the back of the room this evening, so that might change after this. My podcast recently became a global podcast. Listeners from 103 countries have downloaded it. Thank you, and thanks to you guys who have downloaded it. I won't be saying that bit, obviously, but there you go. Now, when you're looking for topics, for your podcast, it's really important to understand who your listeners are. There's no point doing a podcast on how to survive the menopause if your listeners are primarily made up of gay men over 50. I'm really lucky, though. I do actually know who my listeners are. There's a couple of relatives from down south, an old school friend, and the rest are James Blunt fans. And the reason for this is because I've fessed up to being the girl he followed on the subway. Then I'd look behind and say, just checking. Okay, now what can I say? I do feel as if I should offer up an apology to the world. But I mean, Maggie May got rocker Rod Stewart. Yeah, good old Rod. Michelle Mabel got the legendary Sir Paul McCartney. Who did I get? James Blunt. At one point, the most hated man in pop. Marvellous. You're beautiful. It's true. It really is me. So, for obvious reasons, I've spent 10 years hiding in Scotland in a place called Kilmarnock, Ayrshire, or Killy, as the locals call it. Yeah, it is that kind of place. Any Scots in tonight? So when I first arrived in Ayrshire, I was warned that people didn't really know how to do roundabouts. And I thought, don't be ridiculous. How can you not know how to do a roundabout? I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? You go in the left lane, you indicate left, you turn left. Middle lane, if there is one, you go straight on. Right lane, you go right, you indicate right, and you go around the roundabout and turn right. I'm like, how can people not know how to do roundabouts? So my first experience of driving a roundabout in Ayrshire, I was going left, okay? I was in the left-hand lane. I was indicating left. And This traffic was sort of stationary, and I was kind of waiting for it to, come past as it was going past. I was waiting for a gap in the traffic to come through. And I saw this van and coming up behind me. And he pulled alongside and he was kind of glaring at me, which I thought was a bit strange. And I discovered later they don't actually indicate in Ayrshire either. So because I was indicating, he's like looking at me going, stranger in town. You're not from round here, are you? You're not a local. You're indicating. Right. Anyway, we pulled off at the same time. And all of a sudden he just cut across my lane and went left in front of me. And I was like, slamming on the brakes, nearly stalled the car. I was like, oh, they seriously don't know how to do roundabouts in Ayrshire. Now I've moved back down to civilization. I have actually had to retrain myself, by the way, to use indicators again, because I didn't do it up there. And also, people are kind of like wondering, but why are people in Ayrshire like this? Well, actually, there's only 4 sort of main roundabouts in North Ayrshire, East Ayrshire, South Ayrshire, and they kind of link each county together. Now people like. No, so I don't know how many of you here have been to Crewe? Okay, we've all been to Crewe, haven't we? Okay, it's a main train station, right? That's not in Merseyside or Cheshire, is it? Or it might be in Cheshire just, but it's on the border of Staffordshire anyway, right? So in Ayrshire, right, there's East Ayrshire, South Ayrshire, North Ayrshire, West Ayrshire's in the sea, probably Ayrshire and Arran. So it's just like, I remember I'm talking to somebody from North Ayrshire, and I said to her, what's the riding like in South Ayrshire? And she went, we don't go to South Ayrshire. I'm like, it's 20 minutes down the road, love. What were you thinking? So the reason they don't do roundabouts is because they have to go around a roundabout to get to the next county, and they don't do that. And this is actually serious. I remember the ex-husband used to be HR manager in a hospital site up there, and he would actually have issues, The difference between the couple of hospital sites is about 10 minutes. And he would have staffing issues because they wouldn't want to go from one hospital site to the one that's only 10 minutes down the road because it's in a different county. Can't possibly do that. It's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. So I actually worked as a manager as well when I kind of first came up. And when I lived in Cheshire, I was also a manager. So as I say, a job came up at my employer in Glasgow. And I jumped at it thinking, yeah, I can do that. I can do the manager's job, Now I know that managing people in Cheshire is a completely different experience to managing a bunch of militant Glaswegians. So it came to review time. Do any of you guys, kind of like get graded with a number in your reviews, sort of 1 to 5? So in Cheshire we did that, and it was like, and so the kind of like the review would go something a little bit like this. So, hi, we're really pleased with your work, and I've kind of graded you as a 3. I hope that's okay. You've only been in the role for about 2 months, but we can kind of work on a development plan and do some stretch objectives and aim towards getting you a higher grade next year. And the employer's kind of response would be something like, yeah, that's fine. I perfectly understand. Thank you so much for grading me as a 3. I was actually expecting a 4, and I really look forward to working with you and progressing next year. In Glasgow. Okay, the review went something like this. So, as you know, the grading system has changed slightly this year. It was 1 to 4, now it's 1 to 5. And you have actually been graded as a 4, which I understand is lower than the 3 you got last year. God, didn't you do that? Right, well, I do understand your disappointment, but you did put your overtime down incorrectly on your timesheet, which is technically fraud, so we can listen, doll. And that was just the women. Anyway, I've been Catherine Lorimer. Hope you enjoyed that little snippet. So have a good rest of the evening and good night. And hopefully they applaud. Okay, I'm going to have to listen to this podcast back to see how that sounds as well. But let me know how funny you think it is, and if you laughed, or which bits kind of didn't work and which bits did work. Really want some feedback, particularly my cousin from down south. Send me an email, mate. Just tell me, which bits worked and which bits need improvement, because it's all a work in progress. I've got you guys listening to me. You can be my guinea pigs. Right? Okay. Have an amazing week, guys, and I'll catch you next time.